FSN Radio. It's all about what's next. Go to financialsurvivalnetwork.com and sign up for your free weekly newsletter. You'll also get 3 free reports. The Financial Survival Network. It's all about what's next.
Welcome. You are listening to the Financial Survival Network. I'm Kerry Lutz. Today is April 11th, 2017. It's Tuesday. And hey, great news for America. Well, let's take a look at that. Dr. Gerard Lameiro is with us now, author, philosopher, economist, engineer, been with us many times before. And Gerard, welcome back.
Oh, it's great to be back with you. You have a great show.
Well, hey, we appreciate any compliments we can get from wherever they may come from. But hey, Trump is getting compliments now from rather unexpected quarters, isn't he?
He absolutely is. He took decisive action. He took fast action with Syria. We're talking about he made a statement after the chemical warfare attack on the Syrian people by Assad. He made that on day 0, you could say. 2 days later, 59 Tomahawk Echo-class cruise missiles landed on the airbase that initiated that chemical weapons attack.
Yeah.
And so he acted quickly, and quite frankly, I think he put Russia, Syria, Iran, China, North Korea, and the United Nations all into a state of shock.
Well, I mean, that's not the only one. A lot of his supporters are not happy about this. They say that he's giving in to the neocons. Well, what's your take on it? Is this a good thing or is this a bad thing here?
Well, first of all, some people criticize him, too, because he said during the campaign he wanted to avoid military action and basically build up our country and our infrastructure, and that's a good thing. I think sometimes once you're president, things come along that no one planned and nobody really thought of during the campaign, and certainly, you know, with the promises from the former Secretary of State Kerry, from the former National Security Advisor Susan Rice, the one with the integrity issues.
She doesn't have any issues with integrity because she has no integrity. So what's the problem here?
Yeah, it depends how you look at that, right?
Yeah.
Well, you know, basically nobody thought that Syria had any more chemical weapons. The Russians were supposed to have promised Obama that that was all taken care of. Well, we learned that wasn't taken care of. And so basically what you have here is you have the Syrians, you know, going ahead like that, and Trump saying that is not acceptable behavior. And he felt it was necessary humanitarian act to take action.
Yeah. And there's an old saying, if you want to scare the monkeys, kill a chicken. I mean, is that what he's doing here?
Well, that's an interesting. You come up with some great lines.
It's not mine, but I didn't make it up. I wish I had. I'd be really smart.
Yeah, no, that's quite a. That sounds like it should be in the Art of the War, but you know, or something like that.
I think it is in Sun Tzu's Art of War.
Sun Tzu, yeah.
If you want to,
I read that book years ago. That's a great book,
right?
Well, I would say, I would say that he did it more to stop what was happening as opposed to sending a signal. But simultaneously, a signal was sent, which I do think shocked the rest of the world. They are not. They are used to leading from behind as being American foreign policy. The Obama administration's policy was lead from behind, and I think that Donald Trump has now put that on the ash heap of history. That famous line from Ronald Reagan. I think that policy is gone. America is now reestablished its leadership. It's going to take a leadership role. We have Russia rattling their sabers and saying they're going to protect Syria. But let's look at the geopolitical reality, and that is they can't stand up to the United States in the Middle East. And there is no way that they're going to threaten their own personal security, the security of the Russian state, by attacking the United States.
You think, huh?
I don't think there's any question. I don't think they're going to risk it. I think Putin's been trying to, establish himself as the number one leader in the world, but he does not have the resources, military or otherwise, to do it, economic either. And so I think a lot of saber rattling. I think it'll tune down. I don't think it's in Russia's best interest to attack the United States. And I think Syria, if they want to push us and do another chemical attack on their own people, they're going to get another round of Tomahawk Echo-class cruise missiles down their throats.
So here's a couple of questions. A, did Syria really, really attack their own people? That's what I want to know, first of all, because the evidence, if you trust our intelligence agencies, well, hey, then you might as well believe there's a man on the moon. You have to be hypercritical, thinking-wise, when you take anything the government says at face value. Don't you agree here, Gerard?
Yeah, well, there are quite a few people in the intelligence community, in my opinion, that are sincere, dedicated to the profession and trying to provide truth to the senior folks in the administration. And, I think you have to take them on face value. Now, are there deep state people who might be working against Trump, working against nationalist view of America and more toward a globalist view? Yes. I think Trump is trying to weed them out. He's got some problems in that 500 or so of his appointees haven't been confirmed by the Senate. That needs to take place. And I think as more and more people get into the government that are trusted by President Trump, I think you will see a lot of deep state people leaving. And that will help the situation. I think, we have to rely on Trump's assessment that the intelligence he got in Syria is correct, that did indeed happen, that it wasn't staged, it wasn't fake news. Although these days, certainly one can have those kind of, thoughts because there's a lot of fake news out there. So we have to go on the assumption that that's it because, during the campaign, it would seem to be that Trump did not want to get military involvement in any place. He wanted to solve things through negotiations and, if you will, strong negotiations.
Right. Agreed. Still, I tend to wonder, but I think at this point, honestly, it doesn't really matter who is the actual attacker with the gas. It was an opportunity to effectively lead from in front, and that's what he did, right?
Right. I also think it sends a signal to Iran. I don't expect that Iran is going to pull up with their little tugboats or whatever they call them up to some cruiser, American cruiser, board it, and take us prisoner as they did under the Obama administration. I don't think they're going to dare go near a naval ship.
I rather doubt it. But also, most importantly, perhaps, is the message it potentially sends to North Korea with their aggression.
Yes, and we have interesting developments there, too. We have the Chinese moving 150,000 troops to the North Korean border. That can be done for a number of reasons. And, of course, it would be very interesting to know what their rationale was. It might be to tell North Korea, you've got to start acting more civilized or else we're going to come in and replace you. It could be for that reason. It could be because they think America is actually going to attack North Korea, and they want the troops on the border to keep them out of North Korea. Remember, General MacArthur wanted to go into China after World War II, and they may be even fearful now that the Americans have eyes on moving into China and taking a position and some land there as part of the solution to the Korean problem.
Yeah, well, I don't think the Chinese are thinking that, but it pays to keep them on their toes, doesn't it?
Well, why have 150,000 troops? That's a 5-to-1 advantage over American troops in that region. So.
Mm-hmm. 150,000 troops. That's a lot of troops.
It certainly is. And by the way, let me tell you, I think North Korea, if they're worried about anything, it's not about the Carl Vinson Carrier Task Force. It's that Trident submarine with the 48 nuclear missile. It has the capability of 48 nuclear-tipped missiles. And that's quite a firepower moving in place against them.
Yes.
They continue to threaten us even today with a nuclear attack. And you have to take them seriously because, he seems to be a certified Looney Tune. So,
you think?
You
think he's a little...
got to take him a little bit seriously.
A couple bites short of a sandwich there, you think?
Well, something.
Yeah. Well, I don't know, but hey... It's really something else to watch what's happening, huh? And all of a sudden, it seems like they're playing more the U.S.'s game than what it used to be like during the Obama regime, right?
Well, the Obama regime is a whole different mindset, and basically, that Obama administration has left us at risk, not since probably Pearl Harbor. in terms of the number of decommissioned ships, lack of spare parts for military aircraft, lack of personnel, decimation of the strength levels, on and on and on. They've weakened us with the idea that everything's fine and dandy and the world is a wonderful place and you can negotiate anything, just like that chemical deal in Syria. We took care of all those chemical weapons, except they're still there.
We did?
At least some of them.
I wasn't aware. I didn't know that we took care of all those chemical weapons. There's something kicking around there, huh?
Well, isn't that what Secretary Kerry promised us, and the president, the former president, Obama, promised us, and even Susan Rice, the epitome of integrity.
Yeah, or lack thereof.
Right.
Well, hey, what about the fact that they've been bugging Trump for years now? Probably since he first demanded Obama's birth certificate. If I had to pick a point when they became interested in what Trump was doing, I would have to say that would probably be the key moment, which was like 6 years ago.
Well, I think it's no surprise. I have a feeling that when the people actually get to investigating all the things that happened during the Obama administration, we're going to have lots of surprises. But it's not surprising to me that Trump was, surveilled since at least the minimum we know with evidence is October 2015. That's the October before the 2016 election prior year.
Yeah.
And we know that people like Merkel were bugged, and lots of people were bugged. There's a lot of evidence out there that people were surveilled, and of course, the real issue there is not doing that in terms of FISA warrants or national security issues, but when you do it for political reasons, it becomes a real issue.
Yeah.
As using improperly the resources of the government, and that's the real issue. Is they had no business being involved in what appears to be the possibility that they were feeding information from Trump's campaign to the Hillary Clinton campaign.
Yeah.
And even with that help and all of the other fake news, they could still not elect Hillary Clinton.
Yeah. She
was a bad candidate.
Yeah, definitely an awful candidate, right?
With all the help she got, she still couldn't win.
Yeah. Well, there's some people who just cannot be helped, and I think she was one of them. Right?
That's right. I like the story about, the Jill Stein recount in Michigan, where when they got to Detroit and they were recounting the votes, they found more votes for Hillary than were registered to vote in the city of Detroit. And I thought that was remarkable.
Yeah. Well, there were a lot of things for sure. So surveillance, though, we're all under surveillance here. But in his case, it was more than just passive surveillance where the NSA just sweeps all the stuff in and scans it. This was actually people monitoring him, it appears, right?
It would seem like the kind of information that was circulated, at least at the highest levels of the Obama administration and possibly to outsiders, such as the Hillary Clinton campaign, was even of a personal nature. Not only policy and who they're discussing policy with, but also personal activities, blatant violation of privacy, it would appear.
Yeah.
From the evidence we have available publicly.
Yeah, absolutely.
We obviously don't have full disclosure. It may come out eventually in trials, court cases. I think you're going to see a lot of repercussions from the Obama administration going on for years, because as President Trump gets his own people in line, I don't think he's afraid to call spade a spade, and whatever comes out, I think he'll let come out. And I still think the Clintons are going to be prosecuted, and people around her, a number of people around her that facilitated some of the things that happened, I think they're going to be prosecuted, and I think we're going to have deep state people. There's a lot of scandal still to deal with. We haven't taken care of the IRS and the things that happened there against the Tea Party. We don't have resolution on so many different things where the state was used for political purposes inappropriately. And I think that eventually people will be called to task, and I think when all the career prosecutors get in that side with Trump in the Department of Justice, and they actually fulfill his big strategic goals, you're going to see a lot of prosecutions. I personally think that, but I think it's going to take years to do them all.
Yeah, well, statute of limitations will have run on a number of them. The one thing that surprised me was that Hillary Clinton never got a get-out-of-jail-free card.
Yeah, well, I think she's still in trouble. They're talking, now and then about her running for mayor of New York. Well, maybe she could win there because isn't it like 80% Democrats? But I don't think she's going to run. I'm not even sure her health will sustain her through the prosecutions that are potentially around the corner for her.
Yeah, I think you might be right, Gerard. So, hey, I know you're fixed for time today. People want to find out more about you, read your latest work. Where's the best place to go? GreatNewsForAmerica.com. GreatNewsForAmerica.com. That's also the book on the 2016 election. If you want to go back and read why things happened the way they did, it'd be a historic election, and it was. Oh, it certainly was that. There was never an election like this one before. Hey, if you got any questions or comments on this interview or any others that we do here on FSN, just give us an email at kl@kerrylutz.com, kl@kerrylutz.com. And the Twitter feed is @KerryLutz. The Facebook page is Financial Survival Network. And if you've got iTunes, just go to the store, type in Financial Survival Network or Kerry Lutz, subscribe to the podcast, get it delivered to you automatically. Gerard, it's always a pleasure having you on. We will talk to you again soon, and let's see what happens next.
Right. Well, it's great talking to you, and you have a wonderful day.
FSN Radio. It's all about what's next. Go to financialsurvivalnetwork.com and sign up for your free weekly newsletter. You'll also get 3 free reports. The Financial Survival Network. It's all about what's next.